The diner was nearly empty at 4:47 on a Wednesday morning. Outside, Detroit was still dark. The kind of dark that sits on a city like a held breath, before the factory whistles, before the school buses, before the rest of the world decides it is ready to try again. A cold November wind was pressing hard against the cracked front window of May's Sunrise Grill on West Verner Highway, and the old neon sign above the door hummed and flickered like it was deciding whether to stay on or give up entirely. Inside, a man named Marcus Cole sat alone in the corner booth, both hands wrapped around a mug of black coffee he hadn't touched. He was 34 years old. He had $11 in his wallet, a maxed-out credit card, and an eviction notice folded into thirds in the back pocket of his jeans. He had lost his job at the auto parts plant 6 weeks earlier. His girlfriend had left in September. And 2 nights ago, sitting in his car in a Meijer parking lot because the heat had been shut off in his apartment, he had made a decision. Not a grand decision. Not the kind they make movies about. A small one. He decided that the very next morning, he would wake up before the sun, and he would write one sentence in a notebook he bought for 99 cents at the dollar store on Michigan Avenue. Just one sentence. That was all. Nobody knew about it. Nobody would have been impressed if they had. But something happened because of that single quiet decision that would take years to fully understand. And what happened would change not just Marcus Cole's life, but the lives of hundreds of people who would never even know his name. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the beginning. Back to the sentence. The notebook was green, spiral-bound, 50 pages, college-ruled. Marcus had bought it along with a black Bic pen and a pack of peanut butter crackers, which served as both dinner and breakfast for 2 days. That first morning, he woke at 4:15 a.m. because his phone alarm went off, and, for one long moment, he stared at the water stain on the ceiling of his apartment and felt the enormous weight of everything that was wrong with his life pressing down on his chest like a stone. He could have gone back to sleep. Everything in him wanted to. Instead, he reached under the mattress, pulled out the green notebook, uncapped the pen, and wrote, "I am going to build something real, even if I have to start from nothing." 14 words. Less than 10 seconds of effort. He capped the pen, put the notebook back, and lay in the dark for another 20 minutes before getting up to go to the diner, where he nursed a $2 coffee refill for 2 hours because it was warm and he had nowhere else to be. Nothing changed that day. The eviction notice was still in his pocket. The $11 did not multiply. Detroit did not rearrange itself on his behalf. But the next morning, he wrote again. And the morning after that. By the end of the first week, something small and almost invisible had shifted. He wasn't writing just one sentence anymore. He was writing half a page, then a full page. He was writing down ideas, not plans exactly, more like wishes wearing the clothes of plans. Things he had noticed, things he wondered about. And one morning, almost by accident, he wrote 3 pages about a problem he had seen every single day at the auto parts plant. The way inventory got lost between departments, costing the company thousands of dollars a month in delays. He stared at what he had written, and then he wrote a possible solution. Here is something worth knowing about this country. America was not built by people who had everything figured out before they began. It was built by people who began before they had anything figured out. The farmers who broke frozen ground in January, not knowing if summer would be kind. The shopkeepers who opened their doors in towns that barely existed yet. The inventors who failed 100 times in workshops that smelled of machine oil and disappointment before the thing finally worked. The American dream, the real one, not the billboard version, was never about overnight wealth. It was about the radical, almost stubborn belief that consistent effort, applied daily over time, could lift any person from any starting point to something genuinely worth having. Consistency is the most American virtue nobody talks about. Not talent, not luck, not even hard work in the frantic, grinding sense. Consistent, patient, faithful effort. The kind that shows up on Tuesday mornings when there is no applause and no audience and no guarantee that any of it is working. Marcus did not know he was living this truth. He was just a man in a cold apartment writing in a green notebook because it was the only thing that made the weight on his chest feel slightly less crushing. But the notebook was doing something he could not yet see. It was building him. Every small habit is a vote. And enough votes cast in the same direction will eventually elect a new version of you. By February, 3 months after the night at May's Diner, Marcus had filled the first notebook and started a second. He had also added 2 new habits, each one just as small and unglamorous as the writing. Every morning after he wrote, he walked. Not far, just around the block in whatever weather Detroit threw at him. Sleet, snow, that particular brand of Michigan cold that finds every gap in your coat. 20 minutes, no more, no less. He wore the same gray hoodie and the same boots with the cracked left sole. He passed the same houses, the same corner store with the handwritten sale signs in the window, the same chain-link fence with the American flag zip-tied to it that snapped in the wind like a small, fierce argument. The second habit was even simpler. Every evening, before he went to sleep, he read 5 pages of whatever book he could find at the Detroit Public Library on Woodward Avenue. 1 sentence of writing, a 20-minute walk, 5 pages of reading. That was the entire system. It looked like almost nothing. To anyone watching, it would have appeared laughably insufficient for a man who needed to turn his life around. No networking events, no business cards, no LinkedIn profile with a professional headshot, just a green notebook, a cracked boot, and a library card. But here is what was actually happening, invisible to everyone including Marcus. His brain was changing. Every morning, he kept his promise to the notebook. The neural pathway that connects intention to action grew stronger and faster. Every walk he took, his body released proteins that improved his memory and sharpened his thinking. Every page he read, he was downloading the thinking of people who had solved hard problems before him. He was building, in the language of neuroscience, a different architecture in his mind. He was not the same man he had been in November. He just could not see it yet. In March, Marcus found a part-time job at a logistics company in Dearborn. Warehouse work. Early hours, low pay, aching back by noon. Not glamorous. Not the thing. But he showed up every day, and he kept writing in the morning, kept walking, kept reading. And one afternoon during a break, he mentioned to his supervisor, a compact, serious woman named Diane, the inventory problem he had written about in his notebook. Diane looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "Write that up for me. A full page. Bring it tomorrow. You may have heard of Chinese bamboo. You plant it in the ground. You water it faithfully. You tend to it. And for 4 years, nothing appears above the surface. No shoot, no sprout, no sign whatsoever that anything is alive down there. A neighbor walking past would assume the patch of dirt was simply empty. They might even feel sorry for you. All that effort, all that water, all that patience, for nothing. And then in year 5, in a span of just 6 weeks, Chinese bamboo explodes upward 90 feet. 90 feet. 6 weeks. But here is the question that should stop you. Did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? Or did it grow 90 feet over 5 years? 5 years. All that silent time was not wasted time. It was root time. The bamboo was building the underground system strong enough to support what was coming. Without those 4 invisible years, the explosion of growth would have been structurally impossible. The plant would have shot up and collapsed under its own weight. Marcus Cole was in his bamboo years and did not know it. The full page he wrote for Diane became a 2-page proposal. The 2-page proposal became a pilot program. The pilot program saved the company $40,000 in the first quarter. Diane put his name on the report she submitted to upper management. Upper management asked to meet the person behind the idea. The person behind the idea was a man in cracked boots who had started everything with 14 words in a 99-cent notebook. By the following January, 14 months after that night at May's Diner, Marcus Cole had a salaried position, an office with a window overlooking the Detroit River, and a second green notebook already half full. By the time 3 years had passed, he had launched a small logistics consulting firm out of a shared workspace on Cass Avenue, staffed by 6 people he had hired personally. Each one someone the system had written off, given a chance by a man who remembered what it felt like to be written off himself. The world does not reward the most talented. It rewards the most consistent. Talent is common. Consistency is rare. I need to tell you something honest about this story. It is not really about Marcus Cole. Marcus is a vessel. He is the shape this particular truth decided to wear on a cold November morning in Detroit. But the truth itself is older than Detroit, older than America, older than any notebook ever made. The truth is this: nothing massive begins massively. Everything you have ever admired, every great business, every enduring marriage, every healed body, every transformed community, every life that looks from the outside like it was simply kissed by fortune, began with something that, in the moment it happened, looked embarrassingly small. A conversation, a decision, a single changed behavior performed once, and then again, until it became the kind of thing the person doing it simply was, rather than something they had to force themselves to do. Habits are not tools you pick up and put down. They are bricks. And bricks, laid daily in the same direction, build walls. And walls build rooms. And rooms build houses. And houses, over enough time and enough intentional effort, become something that can shelter other people long after you are gone. This is the most American idea of all. Not that any one person can be great overnight, but that any person, in any city, in any circumstance, with any amount of money in their wallet or holes in their boots, can begin building something real today with what they already have. You do not need more resources to begin. You need the willingness to begin with less than you think is enough, and then trust the compound interest of daily effort to make up the difference. Marcus Cole still keeps a green notebook. He is on his 37th one now. They sit in a row on a shelf in his office on Cass Avenue, identical except for the small Roman numerals he writes on the cover of each one with a black Sharpie. Visitors to the office sometimes notice them and ask what they are. Evidence, he tells them, that small things are real. He still wakes before sunrise. He still writes before he does anything else. He still walks, though the boots have been replaced and the route has changed. Now he goes along the riverfront, past the old train station they've been restoring for years, past the murals on the warehouse walls, past the city waking up in all its complicated, stubborn, beautiful American hopefulness. He says the walk reminds him of something important. It reminds him that cities, like people, are always either building or decaying, and the difference between the two is not some massive intervention from on high. It is thousands of small decisions, made by ordinary people every single day, to try one more time. Detroit knows something about that. So does every other city in this country that has ever had to learn how to begin again. And so do you. You are reading this right now, in your own city, in your own season, with your own version of the weight Marcus felt pressing on his chest in that apartment on West Verner. Maybe it is a different weight. Maybe it is heavier. Maybe you have been carrying it longer. But I want to ask you something, and I want you to sit with it honestly. What is your sentence? Not your 5-year plan. Not your vision board. Not the grand, sweeping story of the person you are going to become someday, when everything lines up. Your sentence. The one small thing you could write, or do, or begin today. The 99-cent decision. The 4:15 a.m. promise you make quietly to yourself with nobody watching. Because that sentence, that impossibly small, almost laughable, utterly unglamorous beginning, is not nothing. It is not the warm-up before the real thing starts. It is the real thing. It is the root going down in the dark. It is the bamboo in its silent years. It is the acorn that does not look like the tree it is about to become. America was built by people who began before they were ready, with less than they needed, in conditions that gave them no guarantee of success. The only thing they had, the only thing they ever had, was the willingness to start small and stay consistent long enough for the compound interest of effort to do what it always does. Turn something tiny into something that changes everything. Begin today. Small, steady, unstoppable.